Thank you very much. We now begin the Making Merry Awards portion of the evening. NCA is pleased to recognize each winner's distinguished achievement tonight. The winners with us this evening join an esteemed group of scholars and educators who've been honored for achieving excellence in teaching, research, and service. I'm delighted to honor each of you this evening. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the stage First Vice President Kathy Turner, who will help me in honoring this year's recipients. Kathy.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. Good evening. Our first award presented this evening is the Michael and Suzanne Osborne Community College Outstanding Educator Award, which recognizes individuals who have made outstanding contributions to education at community colleges while exemplifying excellence in teaching, scholarship, and service to the communication discipline. This year, the award is presented to Penny Joyner Waddell of Gwinnett Technical College. Dr. Waddell's extensive resume gives testimony to the life of an outstanding and dedicated educator. Her colleagues and students equally praise her qualities of enthusiasm, support, innovation, and leadership as they are applied to the learning experience, to campus-wide programs for faculty, and to the world beyond. Dr. Waddell's caring influence is chronicled in a letter in which a Gwinnett Tech alumna tells the college president that Waddell deserves the credit as the driving force in her life, encouraging education beyond the associate's degree, even though the student had no further aspirations. Congratulations, Penny Joyner Waddell. The Donald H. Eckroyd Award for Outstanding Teaching in Higher Education is given to honor an NCA member who exemplifies superlative teaching in higher education. This year, the award is presented to Steve McCarnack of Michigan State University. Dr. McCarnack's course evaluations reflect the enthusiasm of his students. They have been the highest at Michigan State University across his 25-year teaching career, touching the lives of an estimated 30,000 students. Dr. McCarnack has received every teaching award given by MSU, one of which he's been awarded 5 different times. On 2 occasions, he was MSU's nominee to the Carnegie Foundation U.S. Professor of the Year Award. Students describe him as profound, insightful, and life-changing. Congratulations, Steve McCarnack. The Marcella E. Oberle Award for Outstanding Teaching in Grades K through 12 is given to honor an NCA member who demonstrates exceptional teaching in grades K through 12. This year, the award is presented to Matt Davis of Lincoln East High School in Nebraska. A nominator for the award declared, "No teacher in any discipline has had a greater influence on his or her students than Matt Davis. He is one of the most dedicated, creative, and influential teachers of communication I've ever come across." A former student finishing a PhD in economics at MIT affirmed, "After my parents, Mr. Davis is hands down the most formative figure in my development, and not just as a writer. He's one of the most deeply caring men you will ever meet. He sacrifices so much for his students." Congratulations, Matt Davis. The Wallace A. Bacon Lifetime Teaching Excellence Award recognizes the teaching excellence of retired college and university faculty members. This year, the award is presented to James C. McCroskey of the University of Alabama, Birmingham. McCroskey's teaching style was student-focused. Rather than teaching students, he developed them. With his tough love, no-nonsense attitude, and his straightforward honesty, he helped students become the individuals they wanted to become, rather than who he wanted them to be. Evidence of Jim's teaching excellence is in the success of his students. His students work as leaders in higher education and in for-profit as well as nonprofit organizations. His students are prolific researchers whose work appears in the leading journals in our field. Dr. McCroskey was a master teacher who infused his teaching with the research process, an educational innovator, and a demanding mentor who provided his students with a compass. Sadly, Dr. McCroskey passed away in December of 2012. Accepting the award on his behalf is his wife, Virginia Peck Richmond. And Linda McCroskey. The Bernard J. Brummel Award for Outstanding Scholarship or Distinguished Service in Family Communication recognizes individuals who have made outstanding contributions in the area of family communication. This year, the award is presented to Alan Sillers of the University of Montana. For the past 30 years, Alan Sillers has defined the research area of conflict, misperception, and misunderstanding in marital and family relations. The impact of his work is far-reaching. His work is cited not only by scholars in our discipline, but also by scholars in psychology, sociology, family studies, and management. Alan's work reflects his unique ability to conquer new ideas and lead us to consider new directions while challenging long-held assumptions. Embodying the full spirit of the award, Alan Sillers is a scholar who has profoundly impacted and made better our field. Congratulations, Alan Sillers. The Charles H. Woolbird Research Award is presented to an NCA member who has published a journal article or book chapter that has stood the test of time and has had substantial impact on the discipline. This year, the award is presented to Ronald Green of the University of Minnesota for his article, Another Materialist Rhetoric, published in Critical Studies and Mass Communication in 1998. The article reorients the terrain of rhetorical studies toward the problems of governance rather than the success or failure of persuasion. The article was described as a touchstone for critical and cultural approaches to communication studies. As one of the most cited articles ever in critical studies and media communication, it has reached a wide audience of scholars, not only in rhetorical studies, but also in media, international and intercultural communication, and organizational scholarship. Congratulations, Ronald Green. The Diamond Anniversary Book Award is presented to the author of the most outstanding scholarly book published in the last 2 years. This year, the award is presented to Paul M. Leonardi of Northwestern University for his book, Car Crashes Without Cars, Lessons About Simulation Technology and Organizational Change from Automotive Design. Grounded in an ethnographic study of engineers in a U.S. auto company. Dr. Leonardi's book addresses the co-constitution of technological and organizational change through communication. It presents a provocative theory about the relationship between the communication and the material. In other words, it shows how the two become constitutively enmeshed in all aspects of organizational life. Additionally, the book serves as a prototype for how microactivities develop into large-scale macro discourses. Congratulations, Paul Leonardi. And I have been asked to clarify, the name of the first award we presented is the Michael and Suzanne Osborne Community College Outstanding Educator Award. The name is correct in your program. We regret that the slide was incomplete. The Donald P. Cushman Memorial Award honors the top-ranked student-authored paper from all NCA interest groups that competitively rank papers for the programming at the NCA National Convention. This year, the award is presented to Hillary Palmer of the University of Colorado Boulder for her paper, Mexico's Drug War, Feminized, the New York Times and Visual Narratives of Dichotomized Women. In her paper, Hillary provides a nuanced examination of the way gendered narratives about non-US women are rhetorically constructed by the mainstream American news media. She supports her argument with a detailed analysis of pictures from the New York Times photo slideshow. The result, a very powerful and provocative piece that exposes some of the taken for granted assumptions about gender, identity, class, and ethnicity in a nuanced and theoretically complex way. Congratulations, Hillary Palmer. The Douglas W. Inninger Distinguished Rhetorical Scholar Award honors scholars who have executed research programs in rhetorical theory, rhetorical criticism, and/or public address studies while demonstrating intellectual creativity, determination, and impact on academic communities. This year, the award is presented to James Klump of the University of Maryland. As Sean Perry Giles stated in the nomination letter, I have come to most appreciate his intellectual strengths, teaching gifts, and overall contributions to the study of rhetoric. His knowledge of topics spans the field, as he's able to speak on topics ranging from rhetoric and philosophy to the scientific method and social science epistemologies. That he has served as the president of the American Forensic Association and as a board member of the Kenneth Burke Society, and has taken over the editorship of the American Rhetorical Discourse, speaks to his depth. Congratulations, James Klump. The Gerald R. Miller Outstanding Doctoral Dissertation Award recognizes new scholars who have recently completed their dissertations. This year, 3 awards will be presented. The first award is presented to Kendra Knight of Christopher Newport University for her work, The Influence of Response Threshold and Perceptions of Domestic Labor Conflict on Labor Allocation and Conflict Patterns in Marital Dyads. Dr. Knight's dissertation examined how differences in the performance of household labor are associated with marital conflict and wives' marital dissatisfaction, thoughts of divorce, and poor health. The dissertation focuses on how couples' conflict over the division of household labor is influenced by each member's response threshold for domestic labor. The committee was impressed with the ambition and scope of the project in terms of data, the development of new measures, and the study's contribution to both theory and practice regarding divisions of domestic labor. Congratulations, Kendra Knight. The second Gerald R. Miller Outstanding Doctoral Dissertation Award is presented to Timothy Barney of the University of Richmond for his work, Replacing America, Cold War Mapping and the Mediation of International Space. Dr. Barney's dissertation was an insightful examination of the rhetorical role of cartography during the Cold War, paying particular attention to how the U.S. faced decisions about where to place and display its political power on the globe. It studies the ways in which maps were used in a variety of contexts, including popular periodicals, congressional debates, diplomatic conflicts with the Soviet Union, and U.S. labor unions, and how the United States marshaled the practice of mapping in a variety of ways to account for the geopolitical shift to internationalism. The committee found the dissertation a compelling effort to expand the artifacts rhetorical scholars might consider for analysis. They also commented on its careful connection of maps to the rhetorical and ideological domain of the Cold War. Congratulations, Timothy Barney. The third Gerald R. Miller Outstanding Doctoral Dissertation Award is presented to Amy Way of Villanova University for her work, Apprentices and Worker Bees, Discursive Constructions of Youth Work Identity. Dr. Way's dissertation investigated young adults on their way to becoming future workers in the context of a nonprofit youth development program. The project considered how interpersonal interactions, organizational policies and practices, and broad social discourses intersect to position youth as would-be workers, and how those youths take up or resist their discursive positioning. Moreover, the dissertation provides a discourse tracing methodology relevant for communication scholars interested in the discursive production of identities in everyday life. The committee found this a sophisticated investigation and a valuable contribution to the theory on the meaning of work. Congratulations, Amy Wee. The Golden Anniversary Monograph Award is presented to the most outstanding scholarly monographs published during the previous calendar year. This year, 2 awards are being presented. The first award is to J. Michael Sproul of San Jose State University for his monograph, Inventing Public Speaking, Rhetoric and the Speech Book, 1730 to 1930, published in Rhetoric and Public Affairs. Inventing Public Speaking charts a detailed scholarly account of the shift from oratory and elocution towards modern public speaking. Sproul's work examines how speech education offered the public new access to socio-political thinking, how departments of speech were supplied with new theoretical bases for study, and how the importance of women in our tradition has been overlooked. Sproul's analysis is invaluable, both in its breadth and in its depth, offering an insightful and provocative history of our discipline, frequently underexplored. Congratulations, Michael Sproul. The second Golden Anniversary Monograph Award is presented to Dave Tell of the University of Kansas for his monograph, The Meanings of Kansas, Rhetoric, Regions, and Counterregions. The Meaning of Kansas is an innovative article that explores the intersection of rhetoric and regionalism. The essay employs archival materials to investigate the reactions that one Kansas region had to Truman Capote's visits to the area. Tell's essay sketches a methodology uniquely suited for the intersection of rhetoric and regionalism, which he calls regional hermeneutics. Tell argues that regional hermeneutics requires some basic methodological shifts in rhetorical theory. Namely, he argues that articulation should replace interpretation, that regional hermeneutics requires a sensitivity to spatial variables, and that regional hermeneutics asks that we think of texts and authors as conduits that allow various forms of articulation. Congratulations, Dave Tell. The Franklin S. Heyman Award for Distinguished Scholarship in Freedom of Expression is given to the authors of published research on freedom of expression. This year, the award is presented to Pat Arneson of Duquesne University and David Dewberry of Rider University for their article, Mapping Free Speech Scholarship in the Communication Discipline, 1969 to 2006. The authors offer not only a comprehensive literature review, but also a conceptual outline that's instructive, flexible, and adaptive to new challenges of First Amendment policy and scholarship. In fact, the piece is so well constructed that it could work quite well as the organizing principle for an undergraduate or graduate course in free speech. One reviewer wrote, "This article has no doubt already had a great impact on all of us who are First Amendment scholars because it provides a single point of reference to the research that has laid the groundwork for our current research." Congratulations, Pat Arneson and David Dewberry. The James A. Winans Herbert A. Wilchelms Memorial Award for Distinguished Scholarship in Rhetoric and Public Address honors Distinguished Scholarship in Rhetoric and Public Address. Fancy that. This year, just making sure. This year, the award is presented to Gerard A. Hauser of the University of Colorado Boulder for his book, Prisoners of Conscience, Moral Vernaculars of Political Agency. Prisoners of Conscience draws on both classical and contemporary rhetorical theories to analyze how prisoners of conscience use rhetoric to exert their agency and to expose the weaknesses of the state that has imprisoned them. Hauser's groundbreaking analysis of what he calls the thick moral vernacular of human rights includes case studies of Robben Island Prison in South Africa, Mays Prison in Northern Ireland, and Abu Ghraib Prison in Iraq. These serve to offer insights on methods such as parrhesia, passive resistance, indirection, and bodily display under torture as ways in which prisoners of conscience resist. Well-researched and well-written, Hauser's work is a significant contribution to the discipline. Congratulations, Gerald Hauser. The James L. Golden Outstanding Student Essay in Rhetoric Award recognizes an outstanding essay by an undergraduate or pre-master's student focusing on the history, theory, or criticism of rhetoric. This year, the award is presented to Hillary Palmer of the University of Colorado Boulder for her essay, yes, this is not deja vu all over again, Mexico's Drug War Feminized, the New York Times, and Visual Narratives of Dichotomized Women. Ms. Palmer's excellent essay critiques a photojournalistic slideshow about Mexican women as an illustration of visual narrative. She argues that the Mexican women depicted in the slideshow both reflect and reconstruct American gender schemas. They also reflect geopolitical relationships between the US and Mexico. Ms. Palmer insightfully critiques the ways that the slideshow draws upon recurring narratives by depicting the Mexican women as victims of circumstance or as villains for using their bodies in unregulated ways and for failing to properly enact their roles as mothers. The essay uniquely ties these narratives about women, gender, and sexuality to broader discourses about nations and cultural borders. Ms. Palmer's article reminds us that photojournalistic practices and images are powerfully shaped by economic, political, and cultural factors, and therefore should be understood as representations rather than pure representations. Congratulations, Hillary Palmer. The Carl R. Wallace Memorial Award seeks to promote and foster philosophical, historical, or critical scholarship of recent PhDs or advanced doctoral students in rhetoric and public discourse. This year, the award is presented to Karma R. Chavez of the University of Wisconsin. Karma R. Chavez's project, entitled AIDS Activism, Queer Politics, and the Rhetoric of Immigration, will explore the rhetoric of early AIDS activists who confronted discriminatory U.S. immigration HIV/AIDS policies. The grant in aid from the Wallace Fund will allow Chavez to conduct archival research and interviews with current and former activists who had significant AIDS activist communities during the height of the pandemic in the 80s and 90s in New York, Chicago, and San Francisco. Chavez's project and eventual book will break new ground in rhetorical studies. Congratulations, Karma Chavez. The Coors Campbell Prize in Rhetorical Criticism recognizes original research and scholarship of the highest quality in the field of rhetorical criticism and is awarded biennially for manuscripts published through the Michigan State University Press. This year, the award is presented to Stephen John Hartnett of the University of Colorado, Denver, for his book, Executing Democracy, Volume 2, Capital Punishment and the Making of America, 1835 to 1843. Commenting on how thoroughly researched the book is, one reviewer noted that he has a broad knowledge of the cultural history of the period that enabled him to present a full and nuanced picture of the relationship between the death penalty and other historical touchstones. Although finding the relationship of the death penalty to democracy perplexing, another reviewer noted that this second volume provides rigorous scholarship and nuanced readings of diverse texts, but it's also a page-turner. Hartnett understands how public culture can be both sensationalistic and deliberative, and how in public discussion of capital cases, democracy itself is on trial. Congratulations, Stephen Hartnett. The Leslie Irene Koger Award for Distinguished Performance is presented to a director, producer, teacher, or performer who has contributed an outstanding body of live performances. This year, 2 awards are being presented. The first award being presented is to D. Soyeni Madison of Northwestern University. Professor D. Soyeni Madison has dedicated her life work to the performance of literary and ethnographic texts that manifest the importance of labor, social justice, and the power of the spoken word. As noted by her colleagues, her performances are so vividly memorable because they amply demonstrate that the aesthetic work of performance is inseparable from its social work. D. Soyeni Madison has made an impressive career of incisive scholarship, award-winning teaching, and courageous, luminous productions that belie the myth that activist art falls short of grand artistry. Congratulations, Soyini Madison. Thank you. The second Leslie Irene Koger Award for Distinguished Performance is presented to John D. Anderson, of Emerson College. Professor John Anderson creates art that calls upon his depth of intelligence, superb technical abilities, and willingness to challenge himself and his audiences both theatrically and emotionally. John has brought to life great American writers, including Henry James, William Faulkner, and Robert Frost, through his impeccable research and virtuoso skills. He has sustained the traditions of Chautauqua, and he inhabits the ideal of the artist, scholar, teacher that Leslie Irene Koger modeled for us during her many decades of directing, teaching, and writing. Congratulations, John Anderson. The Lilla A. Heston Award for Outstanding Scholarship in Interpretation and Performance Studies recognizes individual scholarly contributions to interpretation and performance studies. This year, the award is presented to Dustin Bradley Goltz of DePaul University. Dustin Goltz's intellectually sophisticated, publicly engaged, and prolific performance scholarship on narrative, intersectional identities, and mediated performance has already profoundly influenced the discipline, and that power promises to grow. In 2010, he published the book Queer Temporalities in Gay Male Representation. In 2011, he edited Our Legacies, Writings from Chicago's Older Gay Men. And in 2012, he co-authored with Kimberly Perez, What Borders Do, Whiteness, Loss, and the Consumption of Otherness Across Lines in the Sand for the collection Border Rhetorics. With the quality and breadth of his scholarship and his location at the center of questions key to performance studies, he richly deserves this award. Congratulations, Dustin Goltz. The Mark L. Knapp Award in Interpersonal Communication recognizes individuals who have made significant scholarly contributions to the study of interaction and/or relational processes while contributing to the quality of interpersonal communication through active involvement in the discipline. This year, the award is presented to Sandra Petronio of Indiana University, Purdue University. Sandra Petronio has amassed an impressive research record in areas both theoretical and applied. Her theory of communication privacy management, which she has developed over the past 30 years, is of interest not only to scholars, but also to practitioners and citizens. In this vein, she was invited by the Consortium of Social Science Associations to brief the US Congress on issues of privacy. As one of her letter writers concluded, her theorizing has changed the way interpersonal communication is studied, taught, and practiced across disciplines. In short, Dr. Petronio epitomizes the standards for this award. Congratulations, Sarah Petronio. The The Stephen E. Lucas Debut Publication Award identifies and praises the contribution to the discipline by an author publishing a first scholarly book or monograph. This year, the award is presented to Emily Diane Cram of Indiana University for her article, "Angie Was Our Sister, Witnessing the Transformation of Disgust in the Citizenry of Photography." Three aspects of Cram's essay were particularly noteworthy. First, Cram's reconstruction and analysis of the public archive created by Angie Zapata's supporters was thorough and illuminating. Second, her essay demonstrates the importance of witnessing in the pursuit of social justice. Third, Cram's analytic combination of emotion, ethics, and the performance of visual rhetoric both illuminates the specific case and serves as a potential model for subsequent scholarship. Congratulations, Emily Cram. The Distinguished Scholar Award recognizes and rewards a lifetime of scholarly achievement in the study of communication. It is my pleasure to announce that the 2013 recipients of this honor are Michael J. Hyde of Wake Forest University, Robert L. Ivy of Indiana University, Jerry Phillipson of the University of Washington, and Cynthia Stahl of the University of California, Santa Barbara. The first Distinguished Scholar Award is presented to Michael J. Hyde. Over his illustrious career, Michael J. Hyde has authored or edited 9 books, published over 60 articles, and participated in almost 100 convention presentations, including delivering the Carol C. Arnold Lecture in 2007 at the NCA Annual Convention. Hyde's work has focused on usually taken for granted phenomena, in turn becoming one of the leading phenomenologists in the communication discipline. Hyde's work tackles basic issues, such as what it means to experience being called, and how the phenomenon of acknowledgement is essential in bestowing humanity on others. In addition to his traditional modes of scholarship, Hyde has produced several documentary films, including The Life-Giving Gift of Acknowledgement, and he has also executive produced a radio play on quantifiable risk, a case study in bioethics of communication ethics. His research explores the intersections of communication, medicine, biotechnology, Judaic studies, and ethics. Hyde is well known and highly regarded across these disciplinary boundaries. Hyde is a recipient of a fellowship from the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. He's held a research chair at Northwestern University, and for nearly 20 years, he's held a distinguished university professorship at Wake Forest University. During his career, he has received 13 awards for teaching excellence. Hyde's work is driven by his own passionate questioning about life's meaning and his quest to resolve difficult dilemmas. At the same time, his work reveals rigorous scholarship and sound argument with particularly innovative approaches to rhetoric and communication studies. Congratulations, Michael J. Hyde. The second Distinguished Scholar Award is being presented to Robert L. Ivy. Robert L. Ivy has devoted his career to increasingly sophisticated studies of the rhetoric of war. His early work focuses on the analysis of individual speeches, such as presidential addresses and declarations of war. While he continues to do work of that nature, He also examines the broader theoretical questions about the influence of war and war rhetoric on democratic political cultures, and he explores the cultural significance of the myth and symbolism of the discourse of war. Ivy is a professor of American Studies and Communication and Culture at Indiana University, where he has written 5 scholarly books, either singly or in collaboration with others, and authored over 70 articles in scholarly journals in communication and related fields. His first book, Congress Declares War, Rhetoric, Leadership, and Partisanship in the Early Republic, examined declarations of war as a particular rhetorical form. He moved to broader questions about how the ideology of the Cold War found expression in public discourse. His most recent books consider the implication of war rhetoric for democratic theory and practice, as well as the rhetorical situation created by and for dissent during wartime. This is programmatic research that builds toward claims of broad significance and scope. Other aspects of Ivy's scholarship should be noted. First, he contributed significantly to the critical turn in communication scholarship through his service as founding editor of Communication and Critical Cultural Studies. Second, he's brought a strong comparative perspective to his work, especially examining differences between American and Scandinavian conceptions of democratic life as a result of his honorary affiliation with the University of Copenhagen. Congratulations, Bob Ivy. The third recipient of the Distinguished Scholar Award is Jerry Philipson. With his influential 1975 QJS article, Speaking Like a Man in Teamsterville, Jerry Philipson launched a new area of communication scholarship, ethnography of communication, that has gone on to become one of the 2 major traditions within the Language and Social Interaction Division. With the initial study that came out of his dissertation, as well as several later studies that became part of his book, Speaking Culturally, Explorations in Social Communication, Philipson was the first communication researcher to make the case for our field taking culture seriously in order to build interesting, influential theories about communicative conduct. In the last decade or so, the distinctiveness and value of Philipson's work has been further enhanced with the development of his theory of speech codes. Speech codes, to use Philipson's own words, are historically situated and socially constructed systems of resources that people use to talk about their own and others' communicative conduct. Speech codes theory offers a compelling way for communication scholars to understand how a particular community speaks and interprets. The number of universities nationally and internationally where Philipson has spoken, as well as being chosen to give NCA's Carol Arnold Lecture, attests to his intellectual stature. As a result of Philipson's influence, ethnography of communication is now regularly taught either as a unit in language and social interaction and intercultural communication courses, or as a full course offered at both graduate and undergraduate levels. The amount of Philipson's service to our profession, to the University of Washington, and to national and international organizations is so extensive, we just have to commend it. Congratulations, Jerry Philipson. Excellent. The final recipient of the Distinguished Scholar Award is Cynthia Stoll. For 3 decades, Cynthia Stoll has helped to set the agenda for the study of contemporary organizing processes. From her early work on communication networks and workplace participation to her most recent book on collective action in the contemporary media environment, her research has consistently broken new theoretical and empirical ground. Her work has received numerous awards for its originality and innovation, and many of her essays have become canonical readings in the field. During her career, she's produced over 90 publications, including 60 articles, 26 book chapters, and 2 award-winning books, Collective Action in Organizations, Interacting and Engagement in an Era of Technological Change, and Organizational Communication, Connectedness in Action. Why do I like that title? Her work is widely cited and frequently reprinted with
My grandchildren are here.
widely cited and frequently reprinted with international visibility. The 5-volume publication from 2006, Major Works in Organizational Communication, brings together the 75 most influential essays in the field over the last 40 years. And 7 of those essays, almost 10%, consist of Stoll's publications. Stoll is internationally renowned for her conceptual and empirical studies of participation and democratic processes in organizations, globalization and networked organizations, and collective action. Grounded in an ethic of social justice, Stoll's research focuses on how organizations can constitute models of citizenship and develop more inclusive networks of stakeholder participation. The topics of her research range from memorable messages at the micro level to small group processes at the meso level, and globalization, terrorist networks, and collective action at the macro level. Yeah, I'm going to be out of here soon. In each of these arenas, she has challenged the assumptions of existing scholarship and initiated new avenues of inquiry. Stoll, whose long career includes appointments at Purdue University and the University of California, Santa Barbara, is one of the field's leading scholars, examining the relationship between organizing and globalization processes. Her scholarship has profoundly influenced our understanding of the communication-organization relationship and will continue to inform the work of generations of scholars. Congratulations, Cynthia Stoll.
Again, on behalf of NCA members, my appreciation to each of our award winners. Let's give them one more round of applause. And we have one more presentation this evening. It's my honor to present a ceremonial gavel to our first Vice President, Kathy Turner, as a symbolic passing of the torch to the next NCA president. Kathy. Thank you. Love you. Good. This concludes the 2013 Presidential Address and Awards Ceremony. I only have one more thing to say. It's a wonderful discipline. Thank you. Sure.
Sure.